Hey everybody, welcome to this episode of Rush Roots. Today we have Joe. So why don't you tell us who you are and where you're from?
Sure. My name is Joe Geluso. I am from Long Island, New York. I'm actually a music teacher, 46 years old, and have three kids.
Awesome.
That's awesome. Awesome. Another teacher.
Yep.
Definitely glad to have that. All right. Well, so why don't you tell us how you heard about Rush? How did you get into them? Did you get to go see them live? Just kind of tell us all about your Rush experience.
Well, it's a 40-year story, so buckle up.
All right. We're all set.
Well, back in the day, in the 70s and early 80s, pre-internet, you'll kind of listen to what was in the house. So I guess my Rush story starts not with Rush at all. Basically, an influence from my dad listening and wearing out the LPs. It was Yes, big, huge Yes fan. Yeah, so my dad wore out those albums. King Crimson, Grand Funk Railroad, anything with bass. I'm a 8-year-old kid. So Close to the Edge, the S album, Fragile, Tales from Topographic Oceans, and ELP, Tarkus Trilogy, Brain Salad Surgery. And, I should mention at the time, I was classically trained piano. So I was drawn to the keys naturally. And those are two bands which were huge on the keys. To this day, my hugest influence was Rick Wakeman and, of course, Keith Emerson. And then flipping through the albums one day and came across the insignia, the main album from Rush, the Rush album, and on all these LPs, and then Fly By Night and 2112, if I remember correctly, are the three that he had owned. So I was listening to those nonstop at about 6 or 7 years old. So going to my piano lessons, I did all my Bach and Beethoven and Mozart, but running home to practice Rush songs as best I could.
There you go.
So, listening to all of that stuff, fast forward a few years, now I'm around 13, 14, and I'm getting into middle school, high school age. My buddy Tom introduced me to an album, live album, A Show of Hands.
Oh.
And he was a fellow trumpeter at the time. He was really a drummer, but they wouldn't let him play drums because he had already started trumpet in elementary school and played a little keyboard. And I hear him playing, one day in the practice rooms. And I'm like, what is that? And he hands me the album. He goes, go listen to this. And it was that day, which was a huge turning point in my life because I heard for the first time Subdivisions. And again, being a keyboard player and how powerful, boom, 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 at 7/8, it was unbelievable. And remember, at this time, it was exchanging albums with friends. It was listening to what your parents had. No internet. So if you listen to the radio, and it was, the 80s, like pop was Michael Jackson and hairband stuff. It was Bon Jovi and Cinderella and Whitesnake, which I still love that, but was always drawn to those early prog rock influences. So I was hooked from that point on. I got my first electronic keyboard right around that time. And my 90-year-old Hungarian piano teacher wasn't thrilled that all I wanted to do was play electronic music at that point. So it was a very interesting time. And then again, fast forwarding chronologically, just a couple more years. Now it's 1989, 1990. We're on the cusp of 91, and Rush releases Roll the Bones. So four of my closest friends and I decided we have to go catch them in concert. So this was, again, another huge moment in my life. It was my first Rush concert, which was December 7th, 1991 at Madison Square Garden.
Nice.
Life-changing moment. It was amazing. So they start off with Force 10 and get into Limelight and Free Will and Distant Early Warning. So powerful. And I could just say that was truly a religious experience, would be the way to sum it up.
Right.
Just to see your heroes on that stage live in the same building after being a fan from being a little kid, listening to the LPs with my dad, to then, that many years going by and seeing them on stage was just unbelievable. And I think it's because I'm a musician myself. So I connect with them musically, just on a different level, and of course emotionally. And I can't name very many other bands where it literally brought me to tears. Like my row of friends were just crying at the end of the concert because it was just so powerful, just so emotional, so powerful. And then a couple months after that, we caught them on the second leg of the tour because I had started dating my girlfriend at the time, which is now my wife, who you guys know, is Michelle. And now it's 1992. So that was June 20th of 92. And then this time we caught them at Jones Beach here in Wantagh, Long Island. And that is where like our whole lives started revolving around Rush at that point. There's not a day that goes by in the last 30 years that I don't listen to them. There's not a day that goes by that, we're listening to, we're in a group conversation and somebody says something where we pick out one of Neil's lyrics, in that conversation, all the trivia stuff. It's just such a huge part of playing and singing it. Like I said, I'm a music teacher, so I am bringing the videos through YouTube into my classroom, especially for my little drum classes in 4th and 5th and 6th grade, trying to create a whole new generation of Rush fans. So I started teaching around 2002, and it was right in the late 90s, early 2000s when I had actually started a tribute band called Restless Youth, from the Restless Dreams of Youth from Subdivisions. And the band was very, very interesting because we played it all over Long Island, just a short stint, probably 98 to 02, 03. And we practiced every day in my parents' basement, and my parents loved it. They absolutely loved it, almost every single weekend. The band was interesting because it was my best friend who had shown me that a show of Hands album, who I'm still great friends with today. My brother, who's also a music teacher and a musician, he plays bass primarily, but he's an orchestra teacher as well. So he was on bass. Nice. His best friend played guitar, and I was on keys and vocals. So it just kind of gelled. It worked so well. And then, we took a break for years and started our families and whatnot. And just recently decided to get back into it about a year and a half, right before COVID hit. A year and a half, 2 years ago, just started playing just for fun with this time with a different guitarist because the other guitarist had moved. But it's just been such an amazing ride. My one regret is that I didn't get a chance to bring my own kids to a concert. They were a little too young back in 2015 for that last concert. I really wanted to get them there. Unfortunately, not gonna happen.
Yeah,
sure.
It's a special thing to share, something like all of us feel very passionate about Rush, and it's really special to share any part of that with the kids. It's unbelievable. It's awesome.
They have their favorite songs. My son loves Subdivisions. My daughter loves Limelight. My other daughter loves Spirit of Radio. They know all the lyrics. They know the meanings. At such a young age, it's fun. It's really unbelievable.
It's a lot of fun. Great.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Love it. Yeah.
So that's pretty much my story up to modern day. I mean, it's still going. Yeah. It's still unfolding.
Oh yeah.
It's good. That's excellent, man.
That's super cool. Well, when you first got into the band, did you have a first favorite song or a first favorite album that you kind of, gravitated towards? And is that different than what you would say, perhaps your favorite song or songs plural and albums plural is today?
As any diehard Rush fan, it's such a tough question.
It is a very tough question.
Because I love them all. Yes. You don't want to pick one. You don't want to pick one because you love them all, and every song is everybody's favorite. But I guess going back to my roots, the first time I heard them, and like I said, being a keyboard player primarily, my favorite song would probably remain to be Subdivisions. Now, let me answer this in two parts, if I may.
Sure.
Musically, because of the power behind it, Subdivisions. I would say as I got older, and it's been, almost 40 years of listening to them now, I would say I'm more into the lyrics. And as I get older and just reflecting on the decades, one of my favorite songs now would probably be The Garden.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
From their last album, which is totally so eclectic.
Beautiful.
And just, 45 years of them, 40 years of them just learning how to play and being a classical musician, how they pulled the strings into that. To see that live, that was really, really
that was awesome. That was The Garden is such a great, powerful song. There's a couple of lines in there that I cannot sing those lines without starting to cry.
Absolutely.
I mean,
I know. Yeah. It's like the only band that does that. It's,
Oh, yeah.
it's
For
amazing.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those are
Awesome.
my two. Like, those are my favorite songs, I would say.
That's awesome.
Cool. That's
Great
great.
tunes, man.
What was the other question about an album?
Albums, yeah. Have a
Yeah, I
favorite
mean,
album?
you have a. Did you have a favorite album when you got into the band, and do you have a favorite album now, or maybe a couple?
Yeah, it's hard to answer. Like I'm
I
really
guess
big on the. I'm big on the.
I gotta
key,
rephrase
you know?
this question as what's your desert island album?
Yeah, there
You
we
get
go.
one. You get one album to bring with you on a desert
I
island.
can't. You're killing me. I can't.
I'm gonna bring this, and I'm gonna sneak the other 5 with me.
Doesn't really. It
So
doesn't
that-
happen that way. You know, I'm not going to give you the typical like. Moving pictures, because everybody, that's a given. Like everybody loves those albums.
Right.
Like I said, I'm big on the key. So originally it was Signals. I find like when I'm going through all my albums, if I'm in the car, pop in the USB stick, I'm playing a lot of Hold Your Fire. I mean, I love
Oh
it,
yeah.
I
Sure.
love
Yes.
that. Like
Great
every
album.
song to me is a big hit. The diehard fans from the 70s might not like that as much because they went a lot of synths on that and whatnot, but if I had to pick another one, if you let me squeeze another one on the desert island,
Yeah.
Presto.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's really good. You did you ever learn how to play Available Light on the piano?
Yes.
Ah, sweet.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I
That's
play
awesome.
almost the whole. Yeah, I would say I play most of the discography.
That's
so great, man.
It's just amazing.
So
Well,
great. So
we can wrap it up with one final question. You said you like Hold Your Fire. So Tai Shan, yay or nay?
I like Taishan actually. I know the band doesn't, but I do. And,
I do as well.
I gravitate towards some of their ballads too. I mean, I love Fly By Night. I love the hard rock stuff, and I could also
Right.
jam out on Mission.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Yep.
With a soft keyboard intro. It's just it depends on
Great.
the mood. It depends on
Sure.
a lot of things.
Awesome.
I love the
Every
variety,
song is great. Yeah, full of variety, exactly.
Oh yeah.
Cool. Well,
Okay.
Joe, thank you very much
Awesome.
for joining us here on Rush Roots. That was a great story and a great chat. If anyone else anyone watching has any interest in coming on to Rush Roots and talking about how they got into the band, just feel free to send us a direct message on our Instagram at RushFans, or send us an email, RushFansInstagram@gmail.com. So with that, we will wrap. Take care, everybody.